Are you an adventurer looking to take your hunt to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to East Meets West Hunt with your host, Beau Martonik.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the East Meets West Hunt podcast presented by onX. The onX Hunt app is your one-stop shop to turn your phone into a mobile GPS unit. And I talk a lot about the different features that are within the onX Hunt app. And one of them that I haven't talked about and honestly just started using recently is the Precipitation Radar. So that's a layer under the hunt settings in the map layers. When you turn that on, the Precipitation Radar allows you to view upcoming storms and storm that's, the intensity of that storm that's heading your way. The one thing to note is that's not available for offline use, but in areas where you have cell signal, this can be a really, really great feature to be able to add to your arsenal within the onX Hunt app. If you want to check out the app, head over to onxmaps.com. Use the coupon code EMW. That'll save yourself 20% off of the app. The University of Elk Hunting, the Corey Jacobson and Elk 101 have put together the most fully comprehensive elk hunting learning course available with 17 different modules that go through everything from beginning to end with elk hunting. And, in addition to having a 1-year access to this course, you get a bunch of deals from partners of Elk 101 as well as the Elk 101 online store, which, depending on what you need for elk hunting, you can basically pay for your course just by the discounts that you're receiving there. So highly recommend it. Head over to elk101.com, click on University of Elk Hunting, use the coupon code EastMeetsWest. That'll save yourself 20% off. And Tethered has come out with a brand new product. So as you may know, Tethered is basically changing the game in the saddle hunting community, coming out with innovative products that are lightweight and safe to hunt at an elevated position for less weight and present more shot opportunities. So they've released the new Predator XL platform. So this is 40% larger than the original Predator platform. So basically what you're putting your feet on while you're in the saddle. It has improved side and top traction, upgraded leveling bolt, cast aluminum construction for superior strength and minimal noise. It's rock solid and still quiet with the zip cam strap and button system. It has a lot of easy adjustment for leaning trees, and your foot positions can be adjusted with platform leveling. Really cool. You're able to shoot 360 degrees around the tree and remain comfortable all day long. They're taking pre-orders now, with the latest that they'll be shipping them is September 1st, so you'll have them in time for hunting season. Definitely head over to tetherednation.com to check that out. So, as far as news here, so this is part 2 of the podcast with Bill Vanderheyden of Iron Will Outfitters. And so I split this up into 2 episodes because we had so much information in here and really changed topics. So last week you heard all about, how to tune your bow to shoot fixed blade broadheads, Iron Will's broadheads, fixed burst mechanical, all that. Definitely head back and check out that episode. And so in addition to that, this one dives into caribou hunting, which I've mentioned it before, but I'm leaving in just over 3 weeks to head to Alaska, which is absolutely crazy and kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety when I just said that. So Bill is going on the same trip as I am, not with me, but he's going with the same air taxi. We're doing the exact same hunt. So it was really cool to get to talk to him about it. Him and I first talked about it at the ATA show. And so we were going back and forth. I told him I was doing this hunt. So gave him he contacted the air taxi and ended up booking the same hunt. So we just go through our process of preparing for it. We're talking about gear. We're talking about expectations. Everything else, what it goes into planning this type of hunt. So I think this one will be a really valuable episode. And it's, this. So, I've talked about the hunt a little bit, but I'm going to be making a film. And so Justin Mueller will be coming along with me. I hired him to film this like we did our elk hunt. But we're going to try to take this completely next level. and make this film just hopefully unbelievable. That's what's in my head, and I know Justin's in his head. And by me saying this on the podcast, I know I'm going to give him some anxiety and make him even more nervous, but that's what my job is to do. But anyways, the film really want to show people that, I'm an average guy, don't have a ton of money, nothing like that. I want to show you that you can plan these type of hunts. We did it with the elk hunt. Now, stepping it up to hunting Alaska, which is just incredible. So that's what I want to do. That's what I want to talk about. And this episode is kind of the prelude to that and leading into what to expect here. And just an update, I talk about my travel situation being all screwed up in this episode. Since then, I got a lot of it figured out. It was screwy, but I'll end up being in the field for up to 9 days rather than 6 or 7. So that kind of even makes it better yet. In addition to that, I am taking a new rifle on this hunt. So I just got in the mail. Well, I had to go pick it up. Was a Bergara 300 Win Mag. So I wanted a 300 Win Mag because that caliber is just a really good North American, all big game caliber. I am not an expert in any means with rifle hunting, but luckily for me, my brother is a gun nut. He's a gunsmith. My family, I was the bow guy and he was the gun guy. So he talked me through it, and Bergara is just, one of the really top companies for being able to shoot long range. One of my buddies who is a Navy SEAL sniper was telling me about them, saying that those guns are the best of the best and just really good, going to be able to withstand the elements, do all that stuff. So I'm getting that sighted in this week, putting a Maven RS2 scope on it. Just I'm super fired up to get this gun shooting and take it on this hunt. So going through all my gear items here and just working through it, trying to get as organized as I can to do this fly hunt, which is the first time I'm flying to a destination to hunt. Well, no, I lied. I did fly to Alberta once for a bow hunt, but there's a lot more gear and logistics involved, so it's going to be interesting. But anyways, let's jump into this episode here with Bill Vanderheyden. Enjoy. All right, Bill. So we talked about everything with the broadheads and how to tune your bow to shoot a fixed blade and the new knife and everything that's coming out. But you and I are both going on the same hunt to Alaska. We're not going together, but we're going through the same people, basically the same caribou hunt. And we've been texting back and forth a little bit about it, but I want to hear how your preparation's going and what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've never been to Alaska. I've been wanting to go caribou hunting in Alaska forever. So, and actually the place I was going to go with filled up. And after talking to you and then Donnie Vincent as well, he recommended this place. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. So when are you leaving to go up there?
Well, my flights are still up in the air, but as of I'm supposed to go out August 21st, but it's looking like August 20th is when I'm going to fly up there. What about you?
Yeah, the 14th, I'm flying up there, and we're doing 10 days, so I'm coming out the 24th. So we're going to overlap a little bit.
Yeah, you'll be coming in, or you'll be going out while I'm still here, and then I'll be going out while you're in the field, and you'll come back while I'm still in the field.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you out there.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're walking that far away from camp to each other, we probably should turn around if we run into each other.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I've been trying to get my gear together here. I've got my normal, I do a lot of backpack elk hunting and mule deer and other hunts like that, bears. And so I've got my normal, gear that I take on a backpack hunt. And I'm just trying to figure out a few different things that will be different here and what I do about those.
Yeah. When you're going into the planning with gear, what are some of those items that you found that you're going to be taking kind of differently? Because we're not going to be backpack hunting, so weight isn't as big of an issue. For this hunt, we're allowed 120 pounds because you're taking all your own gear too. 120 pounds in yourself on the trip. So what's that kind of looking like?
Yeah, so you're right. I'm going to go a little heavier than I normally would. And so for the shelter, I'm typically doing a two-man tent. I'm going by myself or with another guy or two, and we've got two-man tents. Or sometimes if it's later, we'll do a teepee, like a Cafaro 8-man teepee. And I think that's what I'm going to take up there is it's my Cafaro 8-man teepee. I've talked to some people about that. Just the ground it can be hard to get stakes to stay in there if you get high winds, things like that. So I've just got some longer, like I think they call them hurricane stakes or something like that are twisted so you can get a little deeper stakes in there. But I think I'm going to go with the 8-man teepee. There's going to be 3 of us, so the 8-man teepee and a little titanium stove in there. I think it'll be nice to have the bigger shelter, a little bit more space in case we get stuck in there with weather for a day or two.
Yeah, that'll be super nice to be able to have that space. I'm taking a Hilleberg 3-person tent. I'm not sure exactly what the model is off the top of my head, but it's the Kadam GT3. So I got the big vestibule. It's almost the size of the tent coming off that you can store gear in, and also you can open it up as almost like a glassing tarp. Sort of, you can sit underneath it. You can fit 3 people under there, in case bad weather. Same thing, same idea of wanting to have space in case we got socked in. And 2, I ended up going with the Hilleberg because I just was like, all right, never been there before. There's not an option to go back to your truck. This is my home. I like to feel good and safe in my home. And that's, kind of when we decided to, split on this tent.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about the Hilleberg as well. We were each thinking about taking like a two-man type Hilleberg tent. And it's really, I know those are pretty bomb-proof, and it's a good idea as well, I think. It's just, I know from sitting in a 1 or 2-man tent in the rain for a day, it is nice to have the extra space.
Yeah.
But then again, with one shelter, if something does happen, we're kind of out of luck. As well, I think I'm going to bring probably like a Cafaro super tarp or something as well. That could be a kind of a backup shelter, as well as something to, if we're going to go sit in glass and it's going to be a light rain that day, something where we can maybe set up a tarp and glass under it. I didn't think about glassing right from the tent. I guess that could work if you're positioned, if you're sleeping on a spot where you can also see pretty well.
Yeah, and I'm bringing one of Sika's tarps as well, a big 10x12 tarp to set up, if we're hopefully can get away from the tent and get to a glassing knob. Or I don't really know exactly what the terrain is going to look like from talking to our air taxi. It could be anywhere from flat tundra to somewhat in the foothills of the mountains, so it's all depends on what the caribou are doing at that point, but guess we'll see.
Yeah, I was trying to find out if we could get a rough area where I'm at so I could, download some something like that. And it sounds like I won't know until we get there that morning.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I called him. I was like, hey, I know you don't know exactly, but can I download? And he said to call a day ahead, and by then they should have an idea to be able to download it, because I was worried that I wouldn't have good enough service, at the where we're landing at before we take off in the bush plane, that to download the maps, which I am taking a Garmin GPS with an Onyx chip in it, as well as a backup. So
yeah, I've just been using my phone the last couple of years with Onyx, and I really like that.
Yeah,
so having the big screen on the phone there for the maps and everything. But I haven't figured out if I can get paper maps of the different areas up there yet. I'm going to try and do that as well if it's possible.
Yeah. And one thing, he did give me a general 100-mile area. So what I'm going to do is, how Onyx, you can do the different detail of the maps. And there's the one that's low detail, but you can download I think it's almost 100 miles of an area. And I'm going to do that just for certain, and then hopefully be able to get a more detailed map too, but that's kind of what I was looking at.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So I've got a couple of chargers. I haven't really needed a charger that would work more than a couple of days, to recharge a phone or something before. So I've got a little solar one. I'm going to test them out here a bit and see how many charges I can get out of them and figure out what I need there. But yeah, I like using my phone for my topo maps, things like that.
Yeah, I was looking at different chargers too, because I was looking to get a solar one because I have like 3 different battery packs, and I was going to take all of those, and I was like, I probably should just get one solar charger and be okay. Which the camera guy Justin that's going with me, he has a solar one that he's going to take because he has all his camera gear he's got to charge up every night. So that's becomes a little bit more important to have that. But yeah, at least with there's no chance of having cell reception, so having on airplane mode should allow your phone to last a decent amount longer.
What's your plan for your sleep system up there?
As far as like a pad and bag and everything?
Yeah, I've heard that cots are advised up there, which is new to me for backpack hunting, but it sounds like the ground is often full of bogs and not very flat. So I just picked up a Helinox cot to give that a try.
I was looking at those and I didn't pull the trigger. I ended up actually buying a climate insulated pad because the one I had was a summer pad, and I was just getting one a little bit more padding and comfort. And I wondered why I thought they were just giving, they advised cots because you could have the extra weight. I didn't think about it from the uneven ground standpoint.
Yeah, when I heard the cot thing, I'm like, come on, you don't need a cot.
Yeah.
And it's like my brother one time wanted to go on a backpack hunt with me, and he wanted me to pack in a cot for him the week before. I'm like, you can rough it. You don't have to have a cot. So, in talking to, it was Kyle actually Hansen that I was talking to about it, and he said the reason for it is the uneven ground, that just there's so many, you might be dropped off in a place where it's just all like that tundra that's like, a bunch of footballs with hair on them or something that you're.
Oh, geez.
So anyway, that's why I picked up the cot. We'll see. It's pretty slick. I mean, it weighs like 3 pounds, so it's not something I normally add the weight to, but I think we're going to get dropped off and, hike a short distance to figure out where we put camp up, and then pretty much leave base camp there. So won't be too bad. I actually picked up one of their little lightweight chairs too, which is just a 1 pound.
Yeah.
That might be nice to, have backrest for sitting around camp, or if I don't do a lot of glassing typically, because I mostly elk hunt out west, up in the mountains. And I mean, I see most of my elk I got pretty decent vision, so I can see an elk at, a half mile away and pull up my 10x40s, and he's got a, good length rack on him, and I'm after him. I'm not glassing for a giant or anything all day. Mule deer hunting, I'll do a little bit more, maybe borrow a spotter or something, but I don't typically just sit and glass all day. And it sounds like up there's a lot of that get up on a knob and glass thing. So what's your plans for optics?
So yeah, and first, I do have one of those Helinox chairs. I've had one for a couple of years, and they are awesome. They're really nice. I had it as a camp chair in Idaho last year when we were truck camping, and it's actually really nice to be able to sit with a tripod and a spotter in that chair. It's a lot nicer than sitting on a pad on the ground. And like that same thing, I'm bringing it because it sounds like we're going to do a lot of glassing, and and so I'm taking my Maven B2 9x45 binos, and then I also have a Maven spotter that I'm going to be taking as well. So I'll have both of those with me, and then which is kind of a smaller spotter, and then my buddy is taking, he has a Maven, one of their big 85 millimeter ones, so a big one that we should be able to see a few miles away, which I was like, that could be a blessing and a curse, because the farther we can see them, then we're going to want to go chase them. And I'm hearing that the tundra isn't super easy to walk in. But are you taking a spotter then?
Yeah, I think so. I've got some Maven 15 power, 15 by 56 and 15 by 60, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I got a set of those last year that I used for my mountain goat hunt last year. I used those on a tripod along with a big Maven spotter. And I'll probably do the same thing on this trip. I'll probably, and typically when I'm hunting, I'm just carrying 10 by 40s because they're nice and light. Those 15 power Mavens, I got the new B3, I think they're called, which are a bit lighter than their older model.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're still fairly big and heavy compared to, a little 10 by 40 that I'm used to. But I think those will be nice on a tripod. They're great for just using around here in the foothills around me. I can spot mule deer, from my back deck, and they're pretty good optics. I like them a lot. I can see better than my 1040s for sure.
Yeah.
But then, so I think I'll use those quite a bit, and then throw on the spotter when I need to reach out and see something better.
Yeah. That's I think definitely glassing is going to be a big part of it, and being comfortable with it. I actually got to get an adapter now that I'm thinking about it for my phone scope. I've learned to be able to use that if you can charge your phone. A lot of times if you're tired of like having your head down on the spotter, running that phone scope on there is so nice. You can kind of sit back and look, especially if you found something, like I say, a herd or something, you're watching them. I was doing that with elk last year, and it was so nice to be able to sit there and watch that through it. But
okay, I just add that to my list. I gotta check that out.
yeah, it was really cool to be able to do it, and then you can actually zoom in on your phone and get even further than the magnification allows on your spotter, or you can even get them for those set of 15 binos you have or whatever. They work on either way, so that's definitely something I'd recommend for that. I'm not an expert in glassing, but in my short period of time of doing it, that helped out.
Yeah, I was taking photos of different mountain goats last year through my spotter without a phone scope, just trying to hold it up to it. Pretty hit or miss there on photos that way.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, so that's kind of my plan as far as that goes. So what do you know as far as I'll go back to gear here in a second, but caribou in general, like what are you expecting like them to do? Do you know anything about like how they bed, or you just kind of going out expecting to see them? What's kind of your game plan with that?
Yeah, so I've never seen a caribou in real life, so I have zero firsthand experience. I spent about probably almost an hour talking to Donnie Vincent at the Western Hunt Expo about it, because he went last year, and he's about to have a film that comes out about his caribou hunt up there. And so I was trying to get advice from him, and he hunted them a little bit later, so they were in the migration. And so what he said is the caribou you see are not going to be the ones you're going to get. But you're going to watch them go through, be traveling through some area, and you'll go to that area to get the next ones that come through.
Okay.
They have kind of these, worn, they're following the caribou in front of them. They probably smell the tracks, whatever. They're going to kind of often follow that same trail that you just saw some caribou on. So that's what he said. A lot of it is you'll see caribou moving through, you'll get over there and set up on where they went through, and hopefully get the next ones. And hopefully there's a steady migration so that happens, and you don't just go over there and wait half a day and you see them somewhere else. But so that's what he said. You'll spot them, you'll get to high vantage point, you'll spot some, you'll move to where they're at. And I think with going early, mid-August, that it'll be, I'm thinking we're going to be more just on the south edge of the Brooks Range, right on the edge of the mountains. And there'll be, what I've heard is there could be some caribou that aren't really migrating yet. They're just kind of going in and out of the edge of the mountains. They might be just trying to get away from the bugs and, feeding, and not really migrating yet, just kind of in their maybe summer pattern a bit more. And that could be good to where we could spot some and actually stalk those caribou if they're just kind of hanging around and not moving out. So that, I guess that's kind of my strategy, is to spot some and then go after them. And if they're gone, hopefully get the next ones. If they're, otherwise try and find them if they're kind of hanging around, and maybe be able to pattern them if they're going in and out of the hills or the mountains morning or evening.
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like for any other animal I hunt, I try to know so much about them before I go in and hunt them. But I've talked to over half a dozen hunters who've done this same exact hunt, and all of them are like, let your eyes do it and figure it out, kind of from there. I've heard, about the ones that pass through the migration, but the time of year we're going, a lot of them probably aren't. And again, I'm no expert in this. It's just coming from other people's experiences. There could be a lot of resident caribou in the area. And I'd even watched some videos on YouTube of people that have flown up out of the same place we are. And you'll see them bedded out in this tundra and stuff, and you'll just see their giant antlers sticking out and people stalking up on them. So my plan was just to kind of see what I see when I get there and adjust accordingly, I guess.
Yeah, it's I'm not too stressed out, so, and sometimes in hunts in the past I've been like, a few days I got to get this done, and it might be my last chance to hunt this animal or whatever. And man, the last few years I've just been more just enjoying my hunts, and if I'll stay as long as it takes to get one, probably. And if I don't get one, this year, it's not like last time I'm going to go back and try it again. So I don't feel a lot of like stress, like I got to figure this out and get it done. I think I'm just going to, enjoy the hunt, enjoy being up there. But I'm also feeling a little bit like, okay, it's crunch time, 4 weeks left. I need to focus here a bit on this hunt and just figure out, what are some of the other tactics. I've heard that if you spot them way out there in an open area, you might be able to stalk in with your bow up on your head, some distance, things like that. I want to try and figure out as many, strategies as I can here in the next few weeks before I head up there.
Yeah, and it's weird. I was talking to my buddy that I'm going with. It's just two of us hunting and then Justin filming, but we feel like we're super unprepared, but we're not, because I booked through Outdoors International, so Kyle helped me a lot with like figuring out what I needed and kind of gave me some gear lists, and then I did my own. But and I don't know, I just feel like when you're doing like say an elk hunt, there's a lot more planning that goes into it than this. It's a weird kind of feeling, but I'm the same way. I'm looking forward to the whole experience of it and kind of figuring it out as we go. And I'm assuming, but are you taking just a bow? Or are you taking a rifle too?
I'm just taking a bow. I might have a pistol on for bears or something, but yeah, I'm gonna sink or swim with the bow on this one. Yeah, okay. I used to rifle hunt, but it's been probably 10 years since I've used a rifle on big game. I just just committing to a bow and has been another factor, I think, in improving my success over the years. That just kind of I enjoy it, the challenge of it so much more. I'd rather come home without one than shoot one with the rifle when I could have tried it with the bow. So
yeah, and I guess also putting that aside, owning a broadhead company probably helps out a little bit for testing wise if you're using it, right?
For sure, yeah. It's hard to justify rifle hunting now that, so much time working on archery, my equipment, perfecting it, testing the heads, and getting the results. So, and I love doing it. So, yeah, rifles don't make it out of that cabinet back there anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. I hadn't, the last couple of years I took the rifle out a little bit in Pennsylvania and stuff, but the majority of my hunts have been with a bow, and I only killed one deer with a rifle in the last 8 years or so. But I am going to take a rifle on this hunt up there to Alaska with me, so that'll be an interesting kind of change to take that along as well. So, well,
yeah, I was trying to talk my buddies into bringing a rifle. I'm like, don't you have a rifle in case you don't get one? But it was actually more just for bears.
Yeah.
But you just feel better if somebody's got a rifle, I think, up there. And that's something I haven't figured out yet. If there's no trees, in the mountains, I'm usually hanging food up. If I've got 10 days worth of food, I've got it hung up to where nothing's going to get to it. And if there's no trees, and I asked Donnie about this. He said, "Oh yeah, we just kept our food right by camp there." I'm thinking, man, I don't know. It's grizzly country. I think anyway, I need to talk to Brian a bit more about what's the strategy there on. I think what I've heard a little bit is keep it close enough to your camp because bears, it'll kind of deter some bears from coming to get it, but not right in your tent or anything in case they really decide they are going to get it.
Yeah.
What's your plan there?
Yeah, that's funny. I don't have a plan yet for that other than, they said in the gear list for, totes to put your food in. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fly with totes for putting my food in. So I was just going to use dry bags as I normally would. And like you said, I normally would hoist it into a tree or something. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have a good plan right now for that, which is something that, as you brought that up, it re-entered my mind as something I kind of need to figure out. Because I'd looked at things that like getting those lightweight bear fence to put around and stuff, and I was like, no, you don't need that. Everyone I've talked to has seen grizzlies, but nobody's had any issues with them coming into camp. So I'm kind of banking on that. I don't know if that's a real good strategy, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet.
Yeah, I'm just worried about. I assume there's coyotes up there and wolves and other things that could get into the food as well. I've camped places where you have to have bear canisters when you backpack in, but they're heavy and you can't. It's hard to fit a lot of stuff in those things. They're pretty bulky.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what my plan there is yet, but it might be a little different than Donnie's, which was, we just rendered the fat right in the tent and kept our food.
Oh, man.
And they're cooking caribou meat in the tent, I think. So he was not concerned. He's like, don't worry about bears. Just, worry about weather up there, not bears.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I feel that laxed about it, but he spends a lot of time there, that's for sure.
He does, yeah. And he saw bears, but I think, like you said, they're hunted more there, and they're maybe less likely to come into a camp.
Yeah. Are you taking? So you sound like you're going to take a pistol. Are you going to take bear spray as well, or just one or the other?
Yeah, I'll probably have both. I've got one of those 44 air lights that's weighs a couple of pounds. It's a 44 mag. It's no fun to shoot because it's so light. It's emergency use only kind of thing because the wrist hurts after shooting one of those things with the heavy load in it. But I'll probably, just in case, have one of those long. And I assume we can bring bear spray up there or have that in our bags flying up there. So
you actually have to get that while you're there. So I talked to Brian up there, and he said that they have some right at the office. So when you get there, you just ask them for it, and it sounds like they don't charge you for it or anything. They just loan it to you, and you bring it back. They're like, oh yeah, people just bring them back full. I'm like, how do I know someone didn't shoot this off? And I got a half full can of bear spray, But because
the can's been empty for years, probably.
So I went back and forth on it, and one of the things was with my, I have a 44 mag, but it's a big Ruger Super Blackhawk, big honking thing, and I was like, I have no good way of holstering this to even be able to, because I looked at chest rigs and all this other stuff, and it just seemed like it was going to be super cumbersome. So I got a bear spray canister that attaches to the side of my bino harness, like a holder there. So I'm just going to put a can of bear spray in there, and if I have a rifle, I feel better with those two things there. So and unless it comes to you in the tent, I feel like you should be able to see them for a ways, unless you're crossing a creek and you're in some thick alders or something. But I'm not 100% sure how that that looks. But everyone I talked to said not to worry about it as much. Wolves, I did get a wolf tag. Both my caribou and wolf tag just came in today. Right before I got on the podcast, I pulled in my driveway and opened my mailbox, and I was getting worried because someone told me that they were taking like 6 weeks to come in. And so I ordered it last week, kind of freaking out, and came in a week. So I got my tags and everything.
So, is it Monica that I talked to up there? She said we could just buy them when we show up there.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. I just had like a thing in my head where I was worried about, not saying they would ever do this, but with everything with COVID going on, that for some reason they'd be like, oh, no non-residents can buy tags now. And that was my reasoning for buying it. But Kyle said, he goes, I don't think that's going to be an issue whatsoever, especially with hunting season kind of already kicking off here. But in Alaska doesn't have a huge threat right now from the virus. So I think there's only 900 total cases in the state. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought process. Same thing with, like, say your jet boil or your whatever you're using for cooking food, that you can get the canisters from them too. They'll have the isobutane canisters. I asked about that because you can't fly with any of those.
Yep, I did ask him about that, and he confirmed. Yep, we can get that right there in his hangar, so that's good. Yeah, and the bear thing, I mean, I don't like, in Colorado it's just black bears, but I've had them clawing on my tent at night and getting my food. They're acrobats now. They can climb one tree and jump out and grab the food and drop 20 feet and not care. But at least black bears, I'm not really too worried about them, eating or anything. But I used to carry a pistol for a while after I had some bear incidents, and then I didn't want to carry the weight, and so I probably won't lug it around up there, depending on how many miles we're putting on, things like that. But it'd be nice to have one gun in the tent, anyways.
Yeah.
If you guys have a rifle along, that'd be nice to have, or a pistol.
Yeah, my cousin sent me a photo on Instagram of a person in a tent in the shadow of a big bear on the outside of the tent, just to get me all worked up. And I was like, damn it, don't be sending me that. I've had that happen with black bears before, come right up to the tent, but I just hope there's not an 850-pound grizzly standing outside. That would definitely make me feel a little uneasy. So the other thing is, up there, it should be light most of the day, right, at that time of year?
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not sure how much darkness there is, but it's a pretty short time, I think.
I've only been in Alaska once, and it was during the summer solstice where there was like no darkness. It was like just would get down to like a gray light and then go back up, which that was incredibly weird. But so yeah, that'll be odd. I feel like there'll be a lot of, you have to kind of make yourself rest at times,
Right. Yeah, I think have to just make yourself get enough sleep, I guess. If it's an hour of darkness, you're going to want to hunt. You're not going to be able to hunt dawn till dusk, I guess, up there.
So what are you doing as far as so with the logistics of flying up there and everything? What does it look like as far as your packing gear? Are you putting them in like big waterproof bags? What's that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, my plan right now, and I've still been kind of thinking through this, but I think I'm going to have a Kafaro Reckoning pack is the one I think I'm going to take up there, and I'm going to have that kind of partially full, but that will be my carry-on if I can get that on. I got to check the size of it to make sure that's going to work out, but
that will work. It is too big as far as the regulations, but I took my Reckoning. Well, mine was on a 24-inch frames, and the regulations say 22-inch is the max. And what I did was I cinched it down, and I took the belt strap and wrapped it around the back of the pack, so it made it look smaller.
Okay.
So that's a tip for you that get in. That's a nice thing about those Kafaru packs is you can wrap that waist belt around backwards there and tie it that way, so it makes it look smaller. So airport security doesn't because I've never been to an airport where they actually drop it in that little thing to check if it's or measure it for size, but just a thought.
Yeah, that's my plan. Make that pack look small enough to carry on, and then have one. I'm probably going to use. I've got like those Yeti duffel bags, those waterproof duffels.
Yep.
If I can get all my other gear to fit in that, ideally I just take those two things and then my bow case, and have some clothes or whatever stuffed in my bow case too. So I guess it's two checked items and a carry-on.
Yep.
Like that.
That's I have one of the big Yeti bags, and that's what the waterproof ones are the biggest size they make. So I was planning on, I actually have it laid out in my living room right now to try to throw gear in just to see if I can keep it under the 50-pound limit as far as not having oversized. And if it is oversized, I think Alaskan Airlines, it's like, I think it only jumps up to like $75 from, I can't remember what it is normally, but it might even be free. I can't remember what the costs are. I have it all written down. But anyways, it wouldn't be the end of the world if it was overweight. And then I was going back and forth and using my hunting backpack, which I was using the Sitka Mountain Hauler 4000. Wasn't sure if I wanted to use that as a carry-on just from the standpoint of if it gets covered in blood, do I want to come back to the airport with it hopefully it does, smelling like, a dead animal on the plane and stuff. But I also don't want to just stuff a bag inside a bag and take up space when I could be using that for other stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've got 3 different Kafaru packs, from some are very old up to their newest Cutthroat too. So I've been debating a little bit of how big of a pack do I need when I'm really up there hunting, and what am I going to want to carry around. But I think I'm going to go with the Reckoning. That just hauls weight so well that if we get a caribou a few miles out, that's the pack to have on.
Yeah.
I think.
That pack is great, and it does pack down really well to use it as like a day pack, even if you're not carrying around a lot of stuff. It's not like it's really bulky. What I used to do with it was I'd take the lid off it and just kind of fold it over and put a little medium pouch on the top there, and just that. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out too, like with, say, on the carry-on, I need to put all my optics and some of the camera gear and stuff. I figured I'll throw that in my carry-on. And just, it's been driving me nuts a little bit because I like to know exactly how my stuff's going to be ahead of time. And so I've got it laid out to try to make a mock, like I'm going to go fly and see how that all looks.
Right. Now I got 10 days worth of food to pack. So that's, at least a couple pounds a day, 20 pounds, but it's kind of bulky too, those freeze-dried meals. I trade broadheads for about anything, including food now. So traded with off-grid guys. So I've got a bunch of off-grid meals coming. Those are good, like the buffalo bison fajitas and cheese. But anyway, it's a lot of food, so I got to see how much room that takes up and where I can put all that.
Yeah, that's true. So with that the food thing's something I've been thinking about too with packing, and then also I wasn't sure if I should take an extra couple days of food in case we get stuck in there. I was thinking if we're gonna have 7 days in the field, maybe taking 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't know if that's overthinking it or not. Or hopefully we have a couple caribou down and that adds for some food. I could really like just put my hunter instinct in me and be like, I need to kill something to be able to eat, and go that way.
Yeah, I'll throw in like just an extra like Mountain House meal. They weigh like 4 ounces, and then I figure, worst case, I can live another day off that if I need to. Eric and I, when we got his bull last year, we got it the night of our 3rd day of the hunt. He had to go to work the next day. So our plan was, let's just bring in 3 days worth of food, and then we'll pack out. He's going to go back to work. I'm going to load it back up, go back in. And we got his bull that night, and we were out of food. And so left it overnight, and then we weren't even planning to have a supper that night because we thought we were hiking out. So we had no food that night, no food the next day, and we had to hike back from camp over to where his bull was, and then pack it all down to the creek, and then hike out with just water that day. So that was a lesson of bring a little extra food just in case something happens and you go one more day. We survived it, and I went to town and ate a giant burrito after that. But yeah, it's good to have a little extra just in case.
Yeah. And then hopefully you got some meat coming out and everything, and they have boxes right there at the hangar from the sounds of it that you can purchase. You're just supposed to bring your own duct tape to be able to box them up. You writing that down?
Duct tape.
I saw that on their list was duct tape. And then, box those up, and then from the sounds of it, we can fly with the head and everything back as a checked bag, essentially.
That's what I heard. There's an antler box, and that's why it's important to fly Alaska Airlines the whole way there and back, I guess, because you can have one of these like 100-inch square antler boxes, and there'll be 3 of us hunting. So if we get three racks in there, they can all come back together that way. So yeah, that's for the antlers and the skulls, and then those fish boxes we can freeze. We're staying at that last night we come out. We're staying at that one hotel in town that has the walk-in freezer.
Yep, right? That's what I'm doing too.
So we can get off the plane, debone the meat at that point. It sounds like we got to leave it ribs and everything. And all the bones until you get out of the field. But then you can debone it, put it in the coolers, and then go freeze it that night for taking home.
Oh, okay. I wondered how that was going to work as far as the deboning process, because I know you couldn't do that in the field. But when you come back out, you can debone it and then put it in the fish boxes. And okay, I was wondering how that was all going to kind of work there.
Yeah, so that's as I understand it. I'm going to get a little more clarification on what bones do I need to bring out? I assume it's just like the shoulder blade to that elbow, and then the hind quarter, like the femur bones. But I heard the ribs have to come, but I think you can cut them off the spine. I don't know. I'm going to try and get those details, because normally I don't bring any bones out. When I pack out an elk or anything else, all the bones stay in the field and I debone everything.
Yeah.
So, because bones are heavy.
Yeah, they are. Which actually reminds me that I need to get some more game bags. I just thought of that. I'd lost mine in the last pack out that I had there, so I need to get those. They were ruined at that point, so I need to get some more game bags here in the next 5 weeks. So probably tonight I'll order them.
Yeah, and I heard if you eat something in the field, take some photos. If you don't want to bring the ribs out, you can you can make a big fire and cook the ribs over the fire, and then eat them and not have to, pack them out. But you should take a photo of it in case they ask you when you get out. Where's the ribs?
Yeah, good point.
That was a good tip from Donnie on that one. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, that makes sense. Cool. I'm like I said, I'm really looking forward to this. And do you have any expectations as far as are you trying to go for a certain size bull or anything, or what are you looking at there?
Yeah, I thought I'd spend a little time trying to figure out what does a big caribou look like and what does a little one look like, and try and get an adult sized caribou at least. But no, I don't have high expectations of shooting a giant or anything. I'd like to get mature caribou. And I'm just gonna try and figure out what that looks like exactly. But no, I don't feel like I'm one and done. I feel like this is gonna be a great experience. Hopefully, I get a caribou. I'm gonna be happy with any caribou. I think bigger the better. But I'm just gonna be happy to get one. And I'll go back in the future if I want to get something bigger than what I get this year.
Yeah, my outlook on it is I want something that looks like a caribou bull, like something that's respectable looking, like, okay, this is a caribou. That's what I always said with mule deer too. Like I want my first mule deer, I want it to at least have forks and look like a a mule deer. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, something beyond a spike or a fork or something like that, right?
Yep, exactly.
So one other thing I've heard can be a problem up there is the bugs, like the mosquitoes. I've heard it can be a serious problem. It just depends on, when you're there and what's hatching. But I'm planning to bring like a bug net and a thermocell along.
Yep.
And I used one of those for the first time a couple years ago on a bear hunt in Saskatchewan, and now I'm sold on those things. I'd climb up in my stand and mosquitoes were just hammering me, and I'd turn that on and then they're gone. And then when I shut it off to get down, I'd get hammered by mosquitoes again. So might see if there's I think there might be like a backpacker version of that or something you can carry with you if you need to.
I actually have one, or no, I don't. I bought one for my brother. It was a backpacking one that goes on to like a isobutane canister that you can do. But I think I'm just going to take my handheld thermocell, like your typical thermocell, and then I am bringing a bug net as well, because I've heard one or the other. I've heard people say they never dealt with any bugs that time of year, and I've heard others say that they were kind of bad. So, and I've watched, it was actually one of Donnie's films where he's bear hunting in Alaska, where it was like absolutely ridiculous with bugs all over, and I'm like, that would just make for a miserable experience if I didn't have anything to protect me from that.
And yeah, that's one nice thing about the tent you're going to have too is, and I talked to Aaron Snyder a little bit about what kind of shelter would he recommend up there, and he said, well, the bugs can be terrible, so having the screen and things for the tent can be pretty important, depending on what when the hatch is and the weather, and it could be bad, and I've heard that they can be so bad they can choke out a caribou. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or what, but that sounds pretty serious.
That sounds serious. Yeah, if it's going to choke out a caribou, it's going to choke me out 7 times. That there's you just had said something else that made me think there. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, the bugs are something that I definitely don't want to risk. Oh, I was going to bring up weather. What have you heard as far as expectations on weather?
Yeah, I think it can be anything. I think in August it's less likely to have a big snowstorm, and that's the one month that it's typically not going below freezing. From what just kind of looking at the weather, typical weather patterns and things up there, but I know we had a choice on our hunt. It was like mid-August or mid-September, and it sounded like mid-September, there's a good chance you can get like a serious snowstorm out of it. And I think we could in August as well. It's less likely. I'm going to bring a 0-degree bag instead of my normal 20-degree bag, just in case we get some pretty bad cold. And I've got a heavier pad. It's a Q-Core SL, kind of the longer, wider. In recent years, I've decided to add a little more weight into sleeping better. And so that pad, I think it's like 3.5 or 4 inches thick, insulated, and it's wide enough and long enough that I'm on top of it for sure. So that's. That, along with our stove, is kind of my plan for severe weather, whether it's wet or cold or windy or whatever. And it could be very warm, but it could be wet, could be snowy. What have you heard?
Yeah, well, I asked Megan up there, and she's like, "Oh, it's like 60s during the day, 40s at night." I'm like, I feel like there's some more variance than that. I don't. Obviously, you know better than I do, but. That's what she told me. So I'm planning on. I'm actually still. I have a bag that'll work, but I'm looking to get a synthetic bag that'll be better in case it gets wet. And I was planning on a 15-degree bag, and then I'll just wear my puffy stuff. I'm taking a puffy jacket and pants, so that I could wear that inside the sleeping bag if it got real cold, to kind of double up there. But that's kind of what I was looking at, and heard it's going to be wet, and so I'll have rain gear. Oh, and the one thing we didn't mention was as far, are you bringing waders? Are you bringing like hip boots or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I just picked up some, I think they're called Wiggies waders.
Yep.
They're super light. I'm impressed. I mean, this is just a little light package, weighs less than a pound, I think. You just pull over your boots. It's just really for stream crossing. But I think that's the situation up there, and that we're just gonna have to cross rivers or streams and not really, have to go through like a lot of swamp or bog or anything like that.
Yep, that's what my buddy, Kyle had recommended those Wiggies, and my buddy I'm going with, Michael, he bought them, and he's like, man, these are kind of expensive for what they are. And I found another company called Hodgman's, I believe. They weigh like a little bit more, but they were $21. But same thing, it's an over boot, that just slips over, like a hip wader basically. So I bought those, and I figured for Justin, the cameraman, like I'm just gonna throw him back across the stream to him instead of him having a set too, and then I'll just wear gaiters, Gore-Tex gaiters, the whole time as I'm hiking around with my regular leather boots.
Yeah, and the Wiggies, they seem like they could, get torn up maybe, but I will see. But I think we're going to have, the three of us will each have a pair. They each weigh like a pound. So hopefully by the end of the trip, we'll at least have one that's still good enough. We can throw it back and forth to each other or whatever as needed.
Yeah, that's it, because we were only going to get one for all of us, and we're like, in case he's rip or something, we should have at least two. So that's what we decided to do too. But hopefully there's not a whole lot of that stream crossing or anything, or just, if we have to walk 100 yards down to find a lower place to cross that isn't, armpit deep, then that's fine.
Yeah, one thing, Donnie had a lot of good recommendations, but, he said, the weather's the thing to worry about, not bears or whatever. So yeah, make sure you got your rain gear, your puffy jacket, all those things that if you're out there and bad weather comes in, that you're going to be okay there. And the other thing you recommended was, typically if two of my friends, Carter, JD, that are going with me, we've hunted together before in the high mountains for elk, but really we kind of camp together. And then often the whole day we're hiking different directions and hunting different basins even. And then we'll meet back up in the evening. And sometimes not. Sometimes we'll spike out and it'll be 2 days before we see each other. But up there, he recommended, don't do that. Just all stick together, hunt together. There's just more things that can go wrong. And you're 100 miles from the nearest person or nearest hospital or anything like that or more. And somebody's got to fly in to get you out. So anyway, he said, just play a little safer, stick together in your group, and we'll probably do that. Yeah,
that's same with us too. Normally if you go elk hunting or something, always split up, better your odds. But for this, and hopefully if it's, as good of a chance of success as I've heard, that we'll have opportunities, more than one, hopefully, over the 6 days we're there or whatever.
Right. Yep. That's the other thing. When we hunt together, then we're usually like drawing straws to see who's going to make the stock or not.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we like to split up, so that whatever you see, you get to stock on. But yeah, as you said, hopefully there'll be more opportunities that we don't. It's not like if we're all hunting together and see one group, that's the only opportunity we'll get.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I don't know anything else right now to think about here, but there's a ton of things to think about with it. But as far as this podcast, I think we covered a lot of our preparation and stuff going into it. So, do you have anything else that you wanted to add on the caribou hunt?
No, not really. I mean, just for prep. Other than that, I mean, I hike hills and mountains a lot. I just hike with pack on to just get your hips and shoulders and everything used to carrying that pack. And I don't expect on this trip we're going to be carrying heavy loads, until we get a caribou, and then it will just be them. But most of the hunting with base camp down won't be too bad. But I think there'll be a lot of uneven ground hiking around, it sounds like. So a lot of, I'm going to try hiking with a pack a lot on uneven ground and kind of get my muscles all used to that. And that, along with some doing a lot of long range shooting just in case I need to, a caribou's out in the open a little bit further than normal. I want to be able to make those shots too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the main prep I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely going to be something, depending on where you're at, as far as stalking close might be difficult.
Right.
And what you're saying about the walking on uneven ground, that's, again, something came to the realization of a little bit ago, was even more is how important, your core strength and stability is, and doing things like that to kind of help you when you're, maneuvering in those odd places and everything there. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of guys just train on like a Stairmaster or something, just going uphill on flat steps, even with pack, but it just doesn't help you much for that uneven stuff or downhill or all those things. So
yeah, I've been just taking one way to kill two birds with one stone is while I'm doing my whitetail scouting, I'll just put weight in my pack and do that, because I'm kind of traversing through different stuff and up and down hills and trying to just keep going with weight on myself and just prepare as much as we can, I guess.
Yeah, prepare a little more than your buddies in case you got to outrun that bear. You can outrun those two guys.
That's the plan, or figure out how to trip them quicker. It's one of the two. Yeah. So anyways, Bill, where can people find, some more information on Iron Will, the new broadheads, and everything else that we talked about here? Yeah,
our website is ironwilloutfitters.com. Our Instagram is also Iron Will Outfitters, and Facebook is the same as well. So yeah, check that out. We usually post when our new products are coming out on Instagram, kind of identify or notify everybody, and then a lot of details are on our website. I mentioned some of the force to push through with different broadhead designs, things like that. We just added all that data to our website as well. So yeah, check it out. A lot of good info there.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on. And this is what will be a 2-part series here. So thanks for coming on and talking to me, taking 2 hours out of your day and spending talking about hunting.
Yeah, you bet. If I don't talk to you before the hunt, I'm sure we'll have to get together and share stories afterwards.
Yes, we definitely will. I'm pumped and also excited to get to use that new wide head this year and run it through a few whitetails, hopefully in Pennsylvania, Ohio, maybe New York. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let me know how it works for you. A lot of guys that tested it are pretty excited about the wide head. So I think that's going to be a great whitetail head.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right, Bill. Well, we'll talk to you soon then.
Thanks a lot, Beau. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of East Meets West Hunt with your host, Beau Martonik. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit eastmeetswesthunt.com, Facebook at East Meets West Outdoors, and Instagram at East Meets West Hunt. If you enjoyed today's episode, please review and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.